Hey Mixers, welcome back to another NBA player props video. This is the channel where I will never ask you for money. In fact, I will try to give you money every single day. And we are going to give away money to two different people today, from 2 days ago and then from today, because we hit at least two of our best bets in our videos 2 days ago. And today we'll review those and then we'll get into the picks for today. I also have some other exciting news that you will not care about at all. But my baby nephew was born today, my brother's first child. It is my fifth nephew. I have 0 nieces, so we are all hoping my sister, who is trying right now, can give us our first niece, my first niece, but our first girl in the family. Hopefully that comes through, but my baby nephew was born today, and he is so cute, and so I'm very excited about that. All right, let's give away some money, do the recap, and jump into today's picks. All right, so let's go ahead and spin this wheel. And we did not have to spin the wheel for one of the days because only one person got the correct picks. So we'll go over that. But it looks like we have Nicodemo Scarfo. That was a close one. He said hashtag in the mix. Fears over 12.5. Claxton over 2.5 in the first quarter. He is a real one. He's been here from the beginning because we used to do hashtag in the mix. That used to be required for your comments. And I let that go by the wayside because it just seemed silly. But that is how you show that you've been here from the beginning. So if you want to throw that in, feel free. I recognize you guys' names by now. But yeah, you're definitely one of the ones that were with me from the beginning. And then Cowboy 76er, you were the only one that got the plays correct today. You chose Peyton Watson in the first half, which he barely got there for us, and then Clay over his assists. If you guys want to reach out to me just to remind me to send you that money your way, I know I've sent you both money before, but I like it when you reach out to me and then in the morning I'll have that notification and I can go through and clear it and send you the money. Okay, so jumping into the recap of 2 days ago on Thursday, no, not Thursday, Friday. On Friday, I gave you 3 best bets. 2 of those hit. I love a 2 on one day. That's obviously making profit. We took Jeremiah Fears over 12.5 points, even though he's not been playing well recently because he was in such a great spot. He's got 16 for us. Nick Claxton over 2.5 quarter 1 points. He had 5. I told you that I also went over his alt line of 9.5, and he did not get there for me. So that was frustrating. But I did tell you not to bet on the regular line, which was at 13.5. Mike Conley over 13.5 PRA. Sometimes you lose a bet because of bad luck, and sometimes it's a bad read. And this was a bad read, so I apologize for that. I just assumed the Timberwolves were not going to be in this game with the Rockets and that they would just let Mike Conley do whatever he wanted. But they were in the game the whole time. So Mike Conley barely took any shots. He missed the shots he did take. And so it was a bad read. I apologize. But our best bets are still almost at 64%, so doing pretty well. Our leans both came through. Mataz Buzelis over 14.5 points. He had 15, so that was a close one. And then Quentin Grimes over 11.5 points rebounds. He had 21. That was one of those was in the video, I think, and one was an added play in the pinned comment. All right, jumping into today's picks. It looks more bloody, but it's not too bad because the best bets went 3-1. That's where I put most of my money. I do usually a half or a quarter unit on the bonus bet. And then on the leans, I do a half unit usually, or I don't bet it at all. So this is a good time to remind you that I don't always bet my leans. I usually do, though. Probably like 90% of the time I do. Sometimes I don't just because I don't get around to it or another prop doesn't come up. Like the leans usually come up later in the day. And sometimes another prop, like a second prop that I like, doesn't come up with it. So I don't end up doing anything with it. In this case, though, I did bet on every single one of these. But I did end up making money for the day, so let's talk about how I did that. Klay Thompson over 1.5 assists. He had 3. I also bet over 2.5 assists for about plus 250 roughly. So that cashed for me, and I was going to bet over 3.5, but it wasn't offered, and so I just didn't bet on it. But I obviously would have lost that if I had bet on it. Andrew Wiggins over 3.5 quarter 1 points. He had 4. I thought he was not going to play, and that is why I put a lean on Nikola Jovic to get over 15.5 PRA because I thought Andrew Wiggins was not going to play. That's what it was looking like. And I didn't bother to check. And I ended up obviously just betting on both of them. So Andrew Wiggins ended up coming through, the best bet, and Nikola Jovic did not. If I had known Wiggins was playing, I would not have made that Jovic bet. But I will count it here because I didn't specifically tell you that in the pinned comment. I should have said only bet this if Wiggins is out, which is kind of what I was assuming. But I bet it and I lost money on it, so I will take the hit on the channel as well. Jaylen Brown under 40.5 points rebounds. He had 47, so he completely cooked us, and he could have had a lot more. I told you in the video, guys, I told you in the video, he could drop 50 points. I was very confident that the Celtics were going to beat the crap out of the Hawks. And so I just hoped that Jaylen Brown would sit early, which he could have, because they were winning by 30 points, I think, by like this early second quarter. And they could have sat him, but they didn't. They let him go do his thing. He scored a bazillion points, I think 41 points. So he went over this in points alone. And that's what I told you in the video. I said he'll probably go over this. If he goes over this, he'll go over in points. And I said he could drop 50, and he almost did drop 50. Peyton Watson over 9.5 first half points. He did barely get there with, I think he had 10 right at the half. But then he did cover his full game line as well. So you could have bet that if you wanted to. He also covered his first quarter line. He had 7 in the first quarter. So you could have bet any of those and you would have been fine on him. The bonus bet, Anthony Simons over 6.5 rebounds and assists. That game just got so completely out of hand from the beginning that the normal usages weren't there. It was a bad read. So I'm not going to say that we just got unlucky. It was a bad read, but I do think if the game had been a bit closer, maybe he would have got more usage. It was a bonus bet, and I told you it was a coin flip. Most of our bonus bets are going to be coin flips, but we're playing for plus money, so we don't need to win barely half of them to make money. And then the leans here both missed. So Julian Champagny over 18.5 points rebounds. He only had 12. This was definitely a Wemby game. And then Anthony Edwards on the other side. And then Nikola Jovic, we talked about that already, so we don't need to do that. Our leans finally got dragged under 70%, which is crazy that we even stayed above it for so long. And then our player props at 64%. I couldn't be happier, you guys. 55, 56% is normal. So 64, I will definitely take that. All right, getting into the bets for tomorrow. Cedric Coward over 12.5 points. I know he's kind of listed as a forward, but he plays more as a guard, I guess, sometimes. But guards have been going over all season against the Magic. Now, keep in mind that Franz Wagner hasn't been playing for a lot of that time, so I don't know how that's going to factor in necessarily if this stat starts to change. But he did have 17 just recently in a head-to-head, just barely, the last game they played. And that was an away game. Cedric Coward plays a lot better at home. His usage goes way up at home. And he is over in 90% of home games with Ja Morant on the court, who is probable to play this game. Without Ja Morant, he's actually only over 83% of the time. So you would think that Ja Morant coming back would hurt his points prop, but actually it helps it a little bit. So yeah, I love that one. Let's do it. Next one, Kobe White over 3.5 rebounds. He's over in 3 of 5 head-to-heads. 3 of these were away games, and 2 of them were home games. But it was kind of 50-50 on it. He didn't just miss at home or just miss away. I hope that makes sense. But he is over 100% of the time in the 4 games this season that he's played with no Josh Giddey. And one of those times was against the Nets. Now, it was just barely over with 4. So keep that in mind. And then just on the whole season, this is his entire season chart right here because he missed the first part of the season. He's only over 50% of the time in home games. He's over 60% of the time in away games. These are the home games right here that it's showing. And so it would be better if he was playing away. But the fact that there's no Josh Giddey, Kobe White is going to have to step up and do a little bit more. We usually can count on him for 8 rebounds and assists or so, but he hasn't been assisting lately. He's been rebounding a little bit more. So I wanted to lean into the rebounds angle on this one. All right, some season-long bets that I want to talk about for Rookie of the Year, because I think the wrong person is favored here, and I think there's a massive edge. So these are the Rookie of the Year stats based on, I just asked ChatGPT to give me this, basically, and this is what came out. And so these numbers probably aren't factoring in tonight's game. Hopefully they're mostly correct. I did double-check a few of them. They seemed mostly correct, so we're going to roll with it. But these are sorted by points per game. So Con Knipple is at the top with 19.1. And I highlighted, the spots where these players are first in that category. So Con Knipple is first in points per game. He's first in 3-pointers made per game. And he's on pace to just completely shatter the rookie record for 3-pointers made, which I think would be a big boost to winning this award potentially. Cooper Flagg, who is the favorite to win this award, is only leading in one category. And VJ Edgecombe, who I like, Con Knipple and VJ Edgecombe are like kind of my favorites here. He is leading in 3 categories. So, including the first category that he's leading in is minutes played per game. So he is active and on the court. That is a big deal. And then the next thing that I want to point out is he has the best chance out of all of these players to make the playoffs. According to ChatGPT, he has an 84% chance to make the playoffs. Con Knipple has a 42% chance to make the playoffs. Cedric Coward 14%, and then Cooper Flag 3%. Jeremiah Fears less than 1%. So, and I know Jeremiah Fears is not like 5th in line for this award. He's like 7th or something like that right now, based on the odds. But I like him better than those others, like Derek Queen. But Derek Queen's a good player, but I like him better, and I think he has some upside later on in the year as well. But anyway, if you bet, so here's what I did. Now you can find stats all over the place, so you're not going to get the same numbers as me necessarily. I cannot bet on traditional sports books in my state, but I can bet on prediction platforms, and usually prediction platforms have worse prices. But for things like awards, when there's a heavy favorite, you can get really good prices on the underdogs. So here's the prices I got. Cooper Flag to not win the award is plus 400. So I put enough on that so that if he loses the award to anybody else, it covers all my other bets. And I still come out ahead as long as Cooper Flag loses. I think the Mavericks are going to try to win, like lose games. Cooper Flag is obviously hurt right now, so he's going to miss a couple games. But I think they're trying to lose games. And so they might sit him sometimes. I just don't think he's going to have these big 50-point games and go wild. And he's probably not taking this team to the playoffs. So I just think that there's a good chance he's not going to win this award. VJ Edgecombe, if he wins this award, which I think he has a really good chance, plus 1660. That is pretty good odds to win the award. Although I think you can get much better odds on a traditional sports book, and I would take them. I mean, I think it's a great shot in the dark. And then Con Knipple, again, I think you can get better odds on a traditional sports book here. Yes, to win plus 450. I think you can get like plus 600 to 800 is what I was seeing. And then Cedric Coward, sorry. I don't know why I said that. Cedric Coward, yes, to win plus 3,300. And I know you can get better odds on him. I had just put $1 on it. My friend, one of my best friends, loves Cedric Coward. And so I just made a $1 bet on him to win $33 if he ends up on top with this award. But this is crazy. I mean, you can take a screenshot of this table if you want, or you can dive into these stats yourself a little bit more. But I think with Con Knipple leading the rookies in points per game, leading the league, well, not the league, but the rookies in 3-pointers made per game, that's a really strong case. Plus, he has a pretty decent chance to go to the playoffs, almost 50-50. And then VJ Edgecombe playing the most out of anybody, assisting the most out of anybody, stealing the most out of anybody. And also, he's not too far behind in the 3-point race either. If Joel Embiid goes down, which we know he's not a healthy guy, or Paul George, who has been in and out, or even Maxey, which he seems pretty healthy, but he could go down too. VJ Edgecombe could take on even a bigger role than he already has. And we know he's pretty much in the playoffs. So I think that he is a really good bet for this award. All right. That's what I have for you today. I just have the 2 best bets, so you don't have to choose anything today. You can just make sure you like the video, of course, and subscribe to the channel, and then leave any comment saying anything you want. Let me know who your favorite Rookie of the Year bet is. Let me know the best odds you can find. These are the best odds I'm able to bet on right now, because I'm not in a state where I can bet the better odds. But I think some of these are good shots to take. So yeah, let me know what you think about that. You guys know that I never ask you for money, so I do appreciate those free little things you can do for me. The likes, the comments, and of course, subscribing to the channel, sharing it with your friends. And if you have the time, watching the whole video. I know you might not always have the time or care. I do the same thing. If I don't have time, I'm skipping around. So I completely understand that, and that's completely fine. All right, thanks, guys.